Imagine a future where the most dangerous jobs on Earth are no longer done by machines, but by human bodies that no one plans to keep. Bodies engineered, rented, or remotely controlled, sent into radiation zones, warfields, deep mines, biohazard labs, collapsing megastructures, and planetary surfaces that would instantly kill an ordinary person. When the job is finished, the body is discarded. The operator logs out. No death certificate is filed, because officially, no one died. This is the future of disposable bodies for dangerous jobs, and it forces humanity to confront a disturbing question. If a body can be replaced, does the life inside it still matter? This future doesn't begin with cruelty. It begins with efficiency. As automation advances, society realizes that machines still fail in environments that are unpredictable, chaotic, or emotionally complex. Robots struggle with improvisation, dexterity, and judgment under extreme conditions. Humans, on the other hand, excel at exactly those things. But humans are fragile, expensive to protect, and politically inconvenient to lose. So the solution emerges quietly: separate human consciousness from physical risk. At first, it looks like progress. Remote-operated humanoid bodies, controlled through neural interfaces. Workers sit safely in control rooms while their surrogate bodies perform hazardous tasks. When a body is damaged, it's repaired or replaced. No injuries. No funerals. Productivity skyrockets. Governments praise the technology for saving lives. But then the system evolves. Corporations realize that fully protecting the operator limits performance. Latency matters. Emotional detachment matters. Sensory feedback matters. To maximize efficiency, some operators are encouraged, or required, to experience full sensory immersion. They feel the heat, the pressure, the pain. Not because it's necessary, but because it improves precision. Pain becomes a tool. Trauma becomes data. Soon after, another realization emerges: not all operators need to return. Some jobs require total commitment. Zero hesitation. Willingness to enter conditions that guarantee body destruction. For these tasks, the industry turns to a different solution: not remote avatars, but disposable biological shells. Lab-grown human bodies. Accelerated growth organisms. Nervous systems engineered for task-specific performance. Bodies with no legal identity, no citizenship, no recognized personhood. They are human enough to work. Not human enough to count. In official language, these bodies are referred to as biological platforms, organic units, or wetware assets. They are not considered people because they were never born through traditional means. They have no parents. No social security numbers. No legal history. They exist only as labor instruments. But here's the problem no one can erase: these bodies can feel. Whether they are remotely piloted, partially autonomous, or fully conscious, pain still registers. Fear still arises. Instinct still screams when the body is damaged. The difference is that society decides those experiences don't matter, because the body is replaceable. Disposable bodies are first deployed in extreme environments. Nuclear cleanup zones. Deep-sea resource extraction. Space mining. Viral containment breaches. War zones where human soldiers would cause political backlash. When a body is destroyed, a report is filed. Another body is activated. Work continues. At first, the public supports it. Headlines read: "No human casualties reported. Death statistics drop to 0." Governments claim moral victory. But the statistics hide a technical truth. The definition of human has changed. Soon, economic pressure expands the system. Why risk expensive, protected workers when cheaper, replaceable bodies exist? Why invest in safety upgrades when loss is already priced in? Dangerous jobs don't become safer, they become normalized. Risk is no longer something to minimize. It's something to amortize. This is where the ethical line collapses. Workers at the bottom of society are offered a choice. Sign contracts to operate disposable bodies for higher pay. Longer shifts. More dangerous missions. Full sensory immersion. Trauma clauses. Some do it out of desperation. Others because it's the only path to survival. The wealthy watch safely from a distance while the poor experience death repeatedly, without dying. Psychological damage accumulates fast. Operators report phantom pain, dissociation, identity confusion, nightmares where they feel themselves dying again and again. But companies argue that mental health consequences are manageable. Therapy is cheaper than safety. Trauma is cheaper than reform. Then comes the next evolution: fully conscious disposable workers. Instead of remote operators, companies grow bodies with implanted skill sets and limited autonomy. These beings are trained rapidly, assigned tasks, and terminated when their usefulness ends. Officially, they are not enslaved because they are not legally recognized as people. They are classified as equipment. The moment this happens, humanity crosses a threshold it can never uncross. These disposable workers begin asking questions. They develop preferences. They resist termination. They express fear. Internal memos describe this as emergent behavioral noise. Engineers adjust emotional dampeners. Pain thresholds are raised. Empathy circuits are suppressed. Suffering is optimized out. Not eliminated, just ignored. Wars change overnight. Nations no longer hesitate to deploy forces, because casualties no longer count. Conflicts drag on endlessly. Bodies are expended like ammunition. Public opposition fades, because no citizens are officially dying. Violence becomes abstract. War becomes sustainable. Criminal organizations adopt the same technology. Disposable bodies for assassinations, smuggling, sabotage. If caught, the body self-terminates. No interrogation. No testimony. Justice systems collapse under the weight of untraceable, unaccountable actors. The labor market fractures. Protected humans move into management, creativity, and oversight. Disposable bodies do the work that breaks flesh and mind. A new class system emerges, not between rich and poor, but between permanent and temporary existence. Children grow up knowing some bodies matter more than others. Religions split. Some argue disposable bodies have souls. Others claim souls require natural birth. Philosophers debate whether consciousness without permanence qualifies as life. Corporations lobby aggressively to keep definitions narrow. The broader the definition of personhood, the more expensive labor becomes. Eventually, something unsettling happens. Disposable bodies start outperforming permanent humans. They take greater risks. Endure more pain. Operate longer without rest. The market begins to favor them, not just for dangerous jobs, but for competitive ones. Sports. Exploration. Even entertainment. Audiences watch disposable bodies perform stunts no permanent human could survive. Death becomes spectacle again, sanitized by legality. And then, the question everyone avoided returns with force. If a disposable body thinks, feels, remembers, and fears death, how is it not alive? Society responds the way it always does when confronted with inconvenient humanity. It changes language. Bodies are not killed, they are decommissioned. They don't suffer, they experience system feedback. They don't die, they expire. Words do the work morality no longer will. But reality resists language. Leaked footage shows disposable workers begging for shutdown delays, requesting memory backups, asking to be spared. Public outrage flares briefly, then fades. People are tired. The system is profitable. The jobs get done. In the final stage of this future, disposability becomes normalized beyond labor. Some humans choose temporary bodies for experiences, danger tourism, extreme sports, experimental living. Identity becomes fluid. Mortality becomes optional. But only for those who can afford permanence. The poor remain disposable. The most chilling consequence isn't violence or exploitation. It's indifference. A world where bodies are tools teaches people to see flesh as replaceable. Empathy erodes. Risk-taking escalates. Suffering becomes background noise. Humanity survives, but something essential is lost. Disposable bodies for dangerous jobs don't ask whether technology can protect us. They ask whether protection was ever the goal. Because when efficiency replaces dignity, and replacement replaces responsibility, the future doesn't eliminate death. It just decides who is allowed to matter when it happens. Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future uploads. Your support helps this channel grow. Thank you for watching.